Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. Don't you just love rich entitled jerks? Especially entitled jerks who dig deep graves for themselves? But first, we start with the story of a spoiled child and his mother, Karen, who, as usual, decided to make a scene by protecting their precocious offspring. So don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. Entitled kid took more than his share, got taught a lesson, hopefully. This occurred almost 3 years ago. Pandemic would make this story way unlikely now, but let's enjoy a blast from the past. I was at a farmer's market on the weekend doing the usual, shopping for produce, looking at strange wool art and enjoying a few samples. I came across the butcher stall where they have those dried beef sticks. I love those things. I know they aren't exactly kale, so I try not to indulge too often, but I walked by anyways. On this walk by, I notice a kid who's standing there and chain-eating samples. It's like he's eating a full foot-long beef stick in small bites, and this large tray for everyone is emptying fast. The butcher, stand keeper, counter guy, is turned around taking care of the meat-related business, and this entitled little turd is going to town. He didn't even have the shame to look around to see if anyone could see him double-dipping, triple-dipping, and triple-doubling far beyond a reasonable share. Now, I'm no stickler for strict sampling policy. I'll take a second to something that is especially good, but damn. 3 of any one thing is pushing it, and beyond that is practically criminal. I saw this kid take 5 samples in a row, and I'm guessing he had more before I noticed. So I walk over, and skipping the attempt to point out what he's doing isn't right, I grabbed the sample plate and pulled it out of his reach. My gut told me he wasn't about to listen to reason, so I moved the samples first, then told him off. You know you're only supposed to take a couple of those to try. He then goes full brat right away. Shut up. I can have as many as I want, a-hole. Give them back. Yeah, nope, I replied. He looked shocked like he's never heard the word before. Kids younger than 12 ready to call strangers a-hole are obviously awful little pishers. Since he was a jerk, for good measure, I grabbed the yet uneaten sample bite out of his hand and ate it in front of him. The tantrum begins instantly, like he had his finger on the flip a crap switch ready to go. Not long after the sirens began wailing, does the entitled mom show up, perceivably out of nowhere, like she was waiting and expecting something bad to happen to her child. Karen? Kid goes into victim snitch mode when mommy comes to him. He took my sample out of my hand. Wah! She turns on me like a bat out of hell. You stole from my son? I should call the cops. Trying to remain calm, I explain, I moved the sample plate away from your kid because he was taking way more than his share. I neglected to mention the extra sample from his hand. She didn't seem to care. They are free and he can have as many as he wants. Who made you the market police? It was a decent point, but before I had to come up with an answer, the guy behind the counter, finally alerted to the commotion, piped in and backed me right up. Ma'am, our policy is a max of 2 samples per person. I wouldn't make any money if everyone took half as many samples as your kid. She turns the Karen ray gun on this guy and demands that he give her kid one of those skinny hot dogs for free. Yes, she actually called it that, because he, pointing at me, stole one from him. Counter guy, that's not going to happen. EM, I'll give you 50 cents even though you have terrible customer service. You're lucky to be getting anything at all. Counter guy, they cost $3. I know this may seem like a lot, but they are really good, and it's a high-quality, local, grass-fed, blah, 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 blah. EM, no way! You're lucky I don't sue you, or I would own this little crap-hole stand. My son is hungry, and he had one stolen from him. I know at this point, it'd be so easy to just walk away, but I live for the drama, and I'm watching what's going on in front of me as though it's through a TV screen. I'm mesmerized. I'd rather go broke than accept money from whiny brats or their children. I think my jaw dropped so low from the shock and awesome that I'll never be able to get it back to normal. People who own their own businesses are doing it right. Nobody to answer to. As the kicker, he extends a beef stick over the counter towards your kid, then turns and hands it to me. Thanks for looking out, man. This is on the house. EM lets out an angry groan/screech and storms away, muttering about disrespect. As I said, I love those beef sticks, but none has ever tasted as sweet as this one. And our second story. If management likes a mystery, then so do I. So I worked in a plastics extrusion plant. We made grain bags and greenhouse cover and garbage bags and all sorts of thin plastic crap. Hundreds of thousands of pounds of it a month. All of it came from little plastic pellets the size of a small pea. Different companies made differently composed pellets that did different things. They were all mixed, melted, turned into a 7-story tall, 60-foot wide bubble, cooled and folded and rolled at around 50 feet per minute. Thanks to previous management not being jerks, we also had a good union contract. So good that we got paid when the power was out, when the machines were broken. Didn't matter. If the plant wasn't on a planned shutdown, we'd come to work even if nothing's working. And these giant machines that did all the work had to be specially shut down when they closed the plant. If you just turned them off and left, the plastic inside would harden, and you'd have to completely dismantle them and chip it apart piece by piece. It took weeks of 24/7 work, but a full shutdown and startup took around a week, when done properly. So they would avoid shutting down and sending us home. Cheaper to pay us to sit. Great gig. Anyways, part of my gig was taking inventory. A giant warehouse with hundreds of 1 cubic meter, about 4 by 4 by 4 foot cube, 1-ton boxes filled with these various little plastic pellets. Almost all of them look exactly the same, save a different number on each type. And of course the empty boxes were stored here too. Close-packed rows of everything. They usually brought in enough for a few weeks worth of work. But for some of the more special stuff, that could be just a box or two. So you'd have to get out off of the forklift, climb through the stacks, banging on the boxes to make sure they're not hollow because some moron on a night shift threw empties in the wrong spot, or was trying to F with the new guys by tricking them into fetching empty boxes. One particular day, we were shorthanded, and the boss, the big guy in the office who doesn't know crap, ordered me to bust hump on the inventory and get back to the line. So I'm going at it, climbing around as best I can, when the boss comes hustling in looking to murder me. He tears into me for being out of the forklift and effing around. I explain I have to check the numbers on all the boxes because sometimes they're messed up. He insists he can see the numbers just fine. I point out that you have to check to make sure the boxes are full. He yells that if we don't F up, that won't matter. I counter that if he wanted a F up free crew, then he worked for the wrong company. Things went downhill from there. I was a bit of a crap disturber at that place. Loved it. After a bit of complaining, I got him to issue a new work procedure, in writing, that inventory should now be done from inside the forklift by driving by these 6 deep stacks, 3 high, packed pretty closely together, looking at whatever box happened to be the closest, and assuming the entire row was full of boxes of exactly the same type. It went exactly as well as you might think it did. Soon enough, mystery boxes started appearing in rows. Things got messed up, and one night, some poor new F who was only allowed to drive forklift got F'd in the rear. He'd bring in a box, put it on the loading station, and the guy on the floor would open up an empty box and scream at him to get a effing full one. He would dutifully return to the proper row, pick up a box, bring it back, and have it be an empty. By the time he dug up a full one, it was too late. The line ran low and had to be shut down. One by one, they died over the weekend. As it turned out, we were woefully out of stock on a few key components. Management, walking in on Monday morning to a quiet plant and a well-rested night shift, waving cheerfully goodbye, was a sight that warmed my heart. Sitting on his desk was a stack of every shift's inventory reports, stapled to a copy of the work procedure, and a signed note from our union chair reminding the boss he couldn't take action against us for doing what he told us to do. In an exciting double feature of postscript action, one of the vital components we got came from pretty far away by rail. And thanks to a natural disaster between us, shipping was delayed. We all sat around idling the machines, essentially getting paid to watch movies, order pizza, and occasionally push a button unless it was your turn to sleep, for a week, before they got desperate and paid to have the stuff trucked up. Same day, long-haul trucking, a week's worth of that stuff would cost a mint. I think in a week we could go through 50 tons easy, so the vacation was nice. And in a personal moment of triumph, as we had a company-wide meeting with all the bigwigs and the boss discussing how to prevent this and how much it cost, I stood up and suggested just making colored stickers, including bright, empty ones. Since my previous gig was an office job at an office supply company, I was able to tell them how we could just use our existing label printers, and the different colors didn't even cost more than what we were using now, which, by the way, was the expensive one. Why the F weren't we using cheap ones for internal labeling? The union chair pipes in that they'd asked for that a while ago and been turned down by the boss because I don't have time to look at your rainbow crap. Get some effing glasses. The curmudgeonly old-timer chimed in with a, who the F can afford glasses with our crappy benefits? When's our next contract meeting? And the meeting dissolved into the boss looking like crap, the boys having fun piling on, the upper management freaking out that we were going to throw a crap when our contract was up, and a sudden uptick in our working conditions. And I also made sure the most common sticker was pink, because I knew the boss and the warehouse guy were both redneck homophobes who would hate it. And our last story. Got hit with an umbrella because I looked poor. I just got off work and our company paid for a hotel, and it's in a really nice area of town. I just got off and I was covered in oil and grease, and I just wanted to end my day. I was waiting for my elevator standing behind two gentlemen when I felt something dull thwack, then a harder one on my leg. I looked over and this douche in a suit was hitting at my leg. "Move, you lazy bum, you move. I am rich, you not," he said in broken English. "Hit me with that umbrella and it's going in your butt," I growled as he stood in shock. "You can't do that. I sue for threat." "Yeah? And what'll you do when I tell the cops that you hit me with your umbrella repetitively without saying anything, because that's assault and battery with a weapon?" "Just apologize and move on." "F you. I pay your food stamps, dumb utility worker. Now move. I'm important." I heard yelling from the conference room and saw Mr. Important crying and drinking. Turned out he blew his conference because the gentleman in front of me was the CEO of the company he was trying to get with. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.